Welcome to Revisit Books podcast, where we turn books into bite-sized wisdom you can use every day. Today we are tackling something almost everyone bumps up against, that universal frustration, the dreaded small talk.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
Absolutely. You meet someone new, there's that awkward pause, and what do you talk about? The weather. Again.
Or traffic. The conversation just fizzles out, doesn't it?
It does. So our aim today, using Patrick King's work as our guide, is to give you a kind of operational blueprint, a way to, bypass that awkward dance and actually connect with people.
And this isn't just about being smoother at parties, is it? There's a deeper layer here. King draws on some pretty compelling research about connection and well-being.
You mean the health connection?
Exactly. Studies are really clear on this. Loneliness. It's a serious threat. The impact on your physical and mental health, it's comparable to having a poor diet or never exercising.
Wow. Okay. Comparing loneliness to like a major physical health risk, that really raises the stakes for learning how to connect, doesn't it?
It really does. We're fundamentally wired for community. Isolation it messes with our systems. But here's the interesting part. The part that leads us to this book's core idea.
Yeah.
It's not just about more interaction. It's about the quality. There was a 2010 study by Matthias Mail, you might know it.
I think I've heard of it. They tracked conversations.
Yeah, they tracked people's conversations and correlated the type of talk, shallow versus deep, with their happiness levels. And the results were striking.
Let me guess, deeper conversations meant happier people.
You got it.
Yeah.
Substantive, deep discussions showed a really strong link to greater well-being, to more happiness.
And the opposite. What about all that small talk we started with?
Well, that actually correlated negatively with happiness.
Negatively.
Yeah.
So it's not just neutral, it actually kind of drags you down.
It suggests that, it's like our brains register that shallow stuff as, well, almost like social junk food.
Right.
We're not just craving talk, we're craving meaningful talk, quality.
So the mission is clear then. If we want to connect better, feel better, we need to consciously aim for quality over quantity in our interactions. We need like a system.
Precisely. And that's what Patrick King offers in his book, a system, a framework for getting to that quality interaction.
Right. The book is Better Small Talk. Talk to anyone, avoid awkwardness, generate deep conversations, and make real friends. And the author, Patrick King, he's a social interaction coach.
Yeah, and his whole focus is giving you this complete toolkit, from the prep work you do beforehand right through to actually having the conversation.
What I found really interesting was his core idea about intimacy, that it's not something you just have to passively wait for.
Exactly. He argues you can actually accelerate it consciously through structured vulnerability. And he puts some fascinating research to back this up.
You're talking about that 1997 Aron study, aren't you? With the questions.
That's the one. It's compelling because it kind of flies in the face of how we normally think about meeting strangers.
So they paired up strangers, right? Yeah. And had them ask each other these specific questions.
Yeah, and not just any questions. These were designed to get personal pretty quickly. Things like, what's your most terrible memory? Or, if you knew you'd die in a year, what would you change about your life now?
Whoa, hold on. If a total stranger asked me about my worst memory, I think my first instinct would be to, back away slowly. Doesn't that feel really intrusive?
That's what you'd think, right?
Yeah.
But the key was the structure. It was a mutual exercise.
Yes.
Both people were answering these questions. Both were being vulnerable together.
Okay, so it wasn't one person grilling the other. It was shared.
Exactly. And because of that shared vulnerability, the response was overwhelmingly positive. People didn't feel attacked. They actually reported feeling incredibly close, like immediate intimacy with someone they'd just met.
That's wild. So structured mutual vulnerability, it builds rapport way faster than we think.
Absolutely. It shows that if you approach it right, you can get past the surface level much quicker than you'd expect. Preparation and structure aren't just about avoiding awkwardness. They can actually enable closeness.
Okay, so who is this approach really for? Who's going to get the most out of these techniques?
Well, it's probably not for that person who's already a complete social butterfly, the one who can effortlessly chat up anyone about anything.
Right. So this is more for the rest of us. The people who maybe feel a bit isolated sometimes or find those first few moments of talking to someone new really hard.
Yeah, or maybe you're smart, you know things, but the moment someone asks, so what's new, your mind just goes blank.
Happens to the best of us.
It does. And it's especially good for, I think, people listening to this.
Yeah.
People who want practical, actionable stuff they can use quickly without getting overwhelmed by theory. King lays out a very clear roadmap.
Yeah, it feels like it replaces that pressure to be spontaneously witty with actual methods you can practice. It's for anyone who hates that feeling of being caught with their pants down socially.
Exactly. You run into your boss unexpectedly or an old acquaintance, and you just stumble because you weren't mentally prepped to say something interesting.
This gives you the tools so you're not always on the defensive, socially speaking. You're prepared. You know how to handle those moments and actually turn them into something meaningful.
You're equipped to move from the surface to something more substantial.
Okay, let's get into those tools. The first big takeaway, which I found fascinating, is that the work starts before you even enter the conversation. It's all about strategic prep.
Right. And this prep has two sides, psychological and physiological, getting your mind right and getting your voice ready.
Let's start with the mind. King talks about practicing 10-second relationships. What's that about? 10 seconds seems really short.
It is short, but the purpose is specific. First, it challenges that common assumption we have that keeping to ourselves, like on a commute, makes us happier. Studies, like those commuter ones, actually found the opposite.
Oh, right. People predicted they'd be happier keeping quiet, but they actually felt better when they chatted with a stranger.
Exactly. Even a brief, positive interaction boosts well-being more than we expect, like really talking to the barista for an extra few seconds instead of just the transaction. Another study showed that made people feel better too.
So these tiny interactions are like little mood boosters we're missing out on.
Pretty much. And second, these 10-second interactions are super low-stakes practice. It's like social warm-up. You try out a comment with a cashier, maybe it lands, maybe it doesn't. Who cares? They'll forget in an instant. But you're building that social muscle.
So you're not starting cold when you actually want to have a real conversation later. That makes sense. Okay, practice short chats. Got it. Now, the physiological part. This one sounds a bit weird. The childlike exercise. Reading out loud dramatically.
Yeah, this one requires you to kind of let go. You take some text. King uses an excerpt from The Wizard of Oz, and you read it aloud with absolutely over-the-top exaggeration. Use silly voices, big emotions, play with the pace.
Why The Wizard of Oz? Why the theatric?
It forces you way outside your normal, maybe kind of reserved speaking style. The goal isn't just volume, it's expanding your whole vocal range and confidence. A lot of people who struggle socially tend to speak quickly, quietly, almost monotone. King calls it meek and mouse-like.
Which isn't very engaging, is it?
Not at all. So this exercise helps you practice things like projection speaking from your diaphragm, which sounds more confident, plus diction, varying your pace, and using pauses effectively.
Ah, the pause. That's powerful. If you can get comfortable pausing dramatically while reading about lions and tigers and bears, you're probably more likely to use a pause to let a point land in a real conversation.
Exactly. It builds vocal confidence and expressiveness.
Okay, so mind warmed up, voice warmed up. Next step in prep, the conversation resume. This sounds intriguing.
It's basically a prepared list of your own talking points. It's designed to stop your mind from going blank when there's a silence or someone asks about you. It requires some self-reflection.
So it's not about scripting the whole conversation, but more about reminding yourself of the interesting things you could talk about, having ammo ready.
Precisely. You're priming your brain with your own best material.
Mm-hmm.
King breaks it down into 4 sections you need to cover.
Okay, what are they?
First, daily life. Basic updates, but framed engagingly. Instead of, weekend was fine, think, my weekend involved a losing battle with some IKEA furniture. Gives the other person something to react to.
Right, turns a fact into a potential mini-story. What's next?
Second, personal. This goes a bit deeper. Hobbies, passions, maybe something unique about where you grew up or studied. Have a quick, interesting way to summarize these.
Makes sense. Third?
Third is notable. This one needs some real thought. You list things like 5 unique experiences you've had, 5 significant accomplishments, 10 strengths, maybe key travels, and 10 things you feel you cannot live without. Passions, interests, not like your phone.
Okay, that's definitely homework. It forces you to really think about what makes you. And the last one.
Fourth, staying current. You need some awareness of the world. What are, say, 5 current events you have an actual opinion on? Maybe 4 funny things that happened to you recently, 4 interesting things you read or heard.
Wow. If you actually sit down and create this resume, you're basically building an inventory of yourself as an interesting person. And you've practiced thinking about your life in terms of stories, not just facts.
That's the core benefit. You're ready to share engagingly.
Now, we talked about small talk potentially being negative for happiness, but King insists it's still a necessary step. Why? Why not just dive deep if that's the goal?
It's a great question because conversation flows in stages. Skipping steps actually ruins rapport. Think of it like building something you need the foundation first.
So stage one is the small talk.
Yes. Stage one, small talk, exchanging pleasantries. Weather, the event you're at, very light, safe topics. The only goal here is to establish contact, show willingness to engage, and move on smoothly. It's the social handshake.
Okay, handshake done. What's stage two?
Stage two, fact disclosure. Now you start sharing non-emotional, factual details. Where you work, maybe your hobbies generally, where you live. Trust builds subtly here as you match the other person's level of disclosure, little by little.
Still pretty safe ground.
Then stage three.
Stage three, opinion disclosure. This is where you start sharing viewpoints, looking for common ground. Potential for friendship emerges here. But because opinions can differ, you need that rapport from stages 1 and 2 first. Jumping straight here can seem argumentative.
Right, you need that base of comfort.
Mm.
And finally, the payoff, stage 4.
Stage 4, emotion disclosure. Sharing actual personal feelings, excitement, fears, genuine vulnerability, maybe a meaningful compliment. This requires real trust built through the previous stages. This is the stage linked to that deeper connection and happiness.
So understanding this sequence changes how you see small talk. It's not pointless. It's the essential first gear. You have to go through it to get anywhere deeper.
Exactly. It's a necessary investment in the foundation. Okay, preparation done. We understand the stages. Now we're actually interacting. How do we make a good first impression and set the right tone?
This is about shifting your mindset immediately. Most people default to treating strangers formally, maybe even a bit suspiciously. King suggests flipping that. Adopt a tone of assumed familiarity.
Assumed familiarity, so act like you're already kind of friends.
Pretty much. Treat them with the warmth and ease you'd show someone you know well. This helps bypass that initial awkward stranger danger vibe. The key behavior is to be less literal, less serious.
How does that look in practice?
Use a bit more lightheartedness, maybe gentle sarcasm, exaggeration, even absurdity. King gives an example like playfully scolding an inanimate object. Instead of just nice pen, maybe say, that pen looks like it's trying to escape. Better keep an eye on it.
Huh. Okay, that definitely breaks the ice. It's unexpected.
It is. It signals that you're not sticking to the boring, predictable script. It gives the other person permission to relax and be less formal too. Think about how kids interact. They're often unfiltered, curious, emotional. We want that tone of openness, not necessarily the childishness itself.
Set a playful, open tone from the start. Got it. Now, what about actually making the first move? For a lot of people, that's the hardest part, the fear of they'll think I'm weird.
Totally. So the trick is to use indirect icebreakers, things that give you plausible deniability. If it falls flat, you can retreat easily.
Okay, like what?
Method 1. Ask for objective info or a subjective opinion. This gives your approach a clear purpose. Do you know when the speaker starts? That's objective info. Or, what did you think of that last presentation? I'm still processing it. That invites an opinion.
Makes sense. It's not really about you. It's about the situation.
Exactly. Method 2. Comment on the environment or situation. Just think out loud. Wow, this room has amazing acoustics. Or, this coffee is surprisingly good. It's a statement, an observation. They can engage or not. No pressure.
Less direct, even safer. And the third one?
Comment on a commonality. If you're both at the same event or know the same person, that's your instant in. So how do you know the host? Or how long have you been coming to these meetups? Shared context makes it easy.
Right. These all feel much less intimidating than just walking up cold. Okay, so we've broken the ice. How do we build that connection? Finding similarity seems key.
It is. That Me Too moment is like social glue. We instinctively look for common ground. So we need to be good at both searching for it and sometimes creating it.
Searching means going deeper than the surface.
Yeah. If someone says they like, say, baseball, don't just say me too. Ask why. What is it about baseball that grabs you? Maybe it's not the game itself, but a connection to their dad or the statistics or the atmosphere. Digging for the why uncovers deeper, often more meaningful similarities.
Okay, so probe a little. What about creating similarity?
One powerful tool is mirroring. Subtly matching the other person's body language, their tone of voice, their pace of speech. Research shows this creates a subconscious feeling of familiarity and comfort. They feel like you're in sync.
Kind of like a nonverbal me too.
Exactly. And the other big one is divulging detail. Don't give one-word answers. If someone asks what you did this morning, don't just say, went for a run. Say, I tried to go for a run, but got chased by a goose down by the lake. Had to detour.
Huh. Okay, that gives them way more to work with. Goose attack, running, lakes,
Yeah.
multiple connection
Yeah,
points.
you have to give people material to connect with. And don't forget, mutual dislike. Bonding over a shared frustration, awful coffee, confusing software, a terrible movie could be a surprisingly fast way to build rapport. Shared negativity creates excitement.
It's true. Complaining together can be weirdly fun. Okay, but what if the other person is really quiet, shy, or just like tight-lipped?
Ah, yes. This is where King introduces elicitation techniques. These are adapted from fields like FBI interrogation, believe it or not, designed to gently compel people to open up without them necessarily realizing it.
Okay, sounds intense. So we're not asking direct questions here.
Not necessarily. We're using statements or observations that kind of nudge them into elaborating. First is recognition. Compliment something they have conscious control over, and that reflects a choice or skill. Not just nice shirt, but that color really suits you, you have a great eye for what works. Or the way you explained that complex idea was really clear.
So complimenting the choice or the skill, not just the thing. That makes them want to talk about how they achieved it.
Exactly. They want to own and explain their accomplishment. Second, complaining. You complain first about something relatable to create a safe space. Ugh, these early morning meetings are brutal. My brain doesn't start till 10.
And they might chime in with their own complaint or maybe defend the early start. Either way, they're talking.
Right. Third, and this one's kind of fun, correction. You intentionally state something slightly wrong or make a confident but incorrect assumption
Why would you do that?
because people have an almost irresistible urge to correct others. If you say to someone in marketing, so marketing is basically just about manipulating people into buying things they don't need, right? If that's not how they see it, they will jump in to correct you.
Well, actually, and boom, they're explaining their whole philosophy. That's clever. You're using their desire to be right.
Precisely. And fourth is naivete. Act like you're almost understanding something complex they know about, but just need a little help. Okay, I get the basics of blockchain, but how does it actually secure the transaction? I'm missing that last piece. People love to teach and clarify.
We make them feel like the expert, which encourages them to share. Okay, these elicitation techniques get them talking. But how do we keep it engaging? How do we make the conversation flow well?
Storytelling is key, but not massive, long sagas. Think mini stories.
So instead of one-word answers, frame things as tiny narratives.
Exactly. Someone asks what you do. Don't just say, I'm a teacher. Say, I teach high school history, which mostly involves trying to convince teenagers that things that happened before Instagram are actually interesting. Yesterday, someone asked if Julius Caesar texted.
Ha! Okay, that's way more engaging. It gives a flavor of your world, some humor.
Right. It turns a fact into an experience. But, crucial point, keep these mini stories mini. King suggests the 1.1.1 method to keep them punchy.
1.1.1, what's that stand for?
One main action, keep it simple, summed up in one sentence, be concise, evoking one primary emotion, like humor, surprise, relief.
Okay, give me an example.
I tried baking sourdough yesterday. Action. The starter exploded all over the kitchen, sentence, and I was just completely shocked by the mess. Emotion.
Got it. Action, sentence, emotion, short, impactful, invites follow-up. Okay, what about slightly longer stories, like explaining a bigger event?
For that, you can use the story spine. It's a simple structure, often credited to Ken Adams, that gives a narrative its emotional beats. It makes stories feel complete and satisfying.
Okay, walk me through the spine.
It goes like this. Once upon a time, sets a normal scene. Every day establishes the routine. But one day, the inciting incident, things change. Because of that.
Yeah.
First consequence. Because of that. Second consequence, stakes rise.
Because of that.
Third consequence or challenge. Until finally, the climax or resolution. And ever since then, the new normal or the lesson learned.
No, let's try it with something simple, like deciding to learn guitar.
Sure. Once upon a time, I always wished I could play music. Every day, I'd listen to my favorite bands and just dream about it. But one day, I saw an old guitar for sale cheap online. Because of that, I impulsively bought it. Because of that, I realized my fingers really hurt trying to make chords. Because of that, I almost gave up multiple times. Until finally, I managed to play one full song, badly, but all the way through. And ever since then, I practice for 15 minutes every day, even if it still sounds rough.
Nice. See, that structure takes a simple thing and gives it an arc. Context, struggle, resolution. Much better than just saying I'm learning guitar.
Exactly. It draws the listener in.
Okay, so we have stories. But conversations aren't just stories. They need to move. How do we avoid getting stuck? King talks about motion, right?
Yeah, motion is crucial. Stagnancy kills conversations. Lingering too long on one topic, especially something like the weather, just drains the energy. You need to intentionally shift either deeper into the current topic, wider to a related one, or onto something new.
Like a journey, not staying stuck at the first waypoint.
Precisely. But don't have a fixed destination in mind. Be open to where the conversation flows naturally. If you try too hard to steer it back to your preferred topic, it feels forced.
Okay, so be flexible, but what if your mind does go blank and you can't think of how to create motion?
One practice technique is free association. Just take a topic and rapidly list related, even tangentially related things. It trains your brain to make quick connections.
Give me an example. Topic, beach.
Okay? Beach, sand, waves, sunscreen, vacation, seagulls, relaxation, pollution, hot weather, books.
Right. So from beach, you could easily pivot to talking about environmental issues, favorite vacation spots, summer reading, anything. It builds mental agility.
Exactly. But sometimes you need more structure, especially when you're actively responding to someone. That's where the acronyms come in. HPM, SBR, and EDR. These are like response templates.
Okay, break those down for me. HPM.
HPM focuses on your internal reaction or experience. History. What's your personal history with this? Philosophy. What's your take or opinion on it? Metaphor. What does this remind you of?
Okay. SBR.
SBR focuses externally on the topic itself. Specific. Ask for finer details. Tell me more about that specific part. Broad. Ask for wider context. How does this fit into the bigger picture? Related. Ask about adjacent topics. Does this connect to X or Y?
Got it. And EDR.
EDR focuses on validating and engaging with the other person. Emotion. Name the emotion they seem to be expressing. Wow, you sound really passionate about that. Detail. Ask clarifying who, what, where, when, why questions. Restatement. Summarize their point to show you understood. So if I'm hearing you right, the main issue is...
Okay, these seem super useful. Can we see them in action? Say someone was just talking about running a marathon. How could you use these?
Sure, you could use history, HPM. Have you always been a runner, or is this something you picked up later?
Yeah.
Or philosophy, HPM. What's your philosophy on pushing through pain barriers in endurance sports?
Or specific, SBR. What was the toughest mile for you specifically, and why? Or related, SBR. Does the mental discipline from marathon training help you in other areas of your life?
Exactly. And while they're talking, you could use emotion, EDR. You sound incredibly proud of finishing, and rightly so. Or restatement, EDR. So the camaraderie with other runners was actually a bigger part of the experience than you expected.
That restatement feels really powerful. It shows you're truly listening and invites them to elaborate or correct you. Using these gives you so many ways to keep the conversation moving meaningfully.
Definitely. They're like conversational prompts you can plug and play.
Okay, we've covered prep, breaking the ice, building rapport, storytelling, keeping flow. Now, how do we really refine things to ensure we're making those deep connections?
Two key areas here are compliments and listening. We touched on compliments with recognition, but let's go deeper. The most impactful compliments aren't superficial.
Not just nice eyes or cool shoes.
Right. Focus on things people have conscious control over, things that reflect their identity and choices. Compliment their unique way of phrasing something, their insight on a topic, their specific taste evident in an outfit choice, their dedication to a hobby.
So you're validating their effort or their mind, not just their appearance.
Precisely. I really admire your dedication to practicing guitar every day, or that was a really insightful point you made about the budget. It shows you see them, their choices, their values.
Makes the compliment feel much more personal and earned.
It does. And alongside giving better compliments, we need to truly listen. Remember the old saying, 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them in proportion. Most people just wait for their turn to talk.
The dueling monologues problem.
Exactly. You need to actively quiet your own internal monologue while they're speaking. A great way to check yourself is the 2-second rule.
Pause for 2 seconds after they finish before you reply.
Yes, it shows you're actually considering what they said, not just jumping in. It prevents interruptions and forces you to process. Also, use those little verbal nods. Okay, tell me more. They signal engagement.
Active listening. It sounds simple, but it's rare. Okay, better compliments, better listening. What about asking better questions to dig deeper?
Think like a detective, using questions as shovels, like in that Aaron study. King suggests several strategies. Ask open-ended questions that require analysis, not just facts. How did that event change your perspective? Not just, did you go to the event?
Get behind assumptions too, right?
Yes. That's an interesting viewpoint. How did you arrive at that conclusion? Get all sides of the story. What do you think someone who disagrees with you would say is the strongest part of their argument? Use follow-up questions that link their answers together, showing you're tracking the narrative.
And being comfortable with silence.
Crucial. Don't rush to fill the dead air after a thoughtful question. Let them think. The silence often prompts deeper reflection and encourages self-discovery. What did you learn about yourself during that experience?
These questions really shift the focus from information exchange to understanding and insight. What if direct personal questions feel too much, though?
That's where third things come in. Instead of asking directly about them or you, talk about an external topic, a book, a movie, a current event, a philosophical concept. Where do you usually get your news from, or what did you think of that recent policy change?
How does that help go deeper?
Their reaction to the third thing, their opinion, their analysis, their emotional response, reveals a lot about their worldview, their values, their priorities, but indirectly. It's a safer way to gauge compatibility early on.
Sneaky. Okay, final area. All of these techniques are great, but King also stresses the importance of, well, being an interesting person yourself.
Absolutely. The final piece is build thyself. You need to be the person others want to connect with. Actively pursue interests, hobbies, projects. Say yes more often. Have experiences. The richer your own life, the more you naturally have to talk about, the more mini stories you generate. Aim for breadth.
And branch out intellectually, too.
Yes. Develop informed opinions on a range of topics. Be curious. If someone brings up, say, a major political event or a new scientific discovery, and your response is just, I don't really follow that, the conversation hits a wall. Curiosity fuels conversation.
But there's a danger here, isn't there? Becoming opinionated can lead to being judgmental.
Huge danger. And that leads to the final critical point. Avoid being the belief police. This, King argues, is maybe the most repellent social habit.
The belief police. The person who thinks their way is the only right way, who judges everyone else's choices and opinions.
Exactly. They operate in black and white. They make others feel attacked, defensive, or censored. They shut down connection instantly, no matter how skilled they are at the other techniques.
So how do you avoid becoming one, especially if you do have strong opinions?
The mindset shift is key. When you feel that judgmental urge rising, consciously assume you're missing information. Assume the other person has reasons for their perspective, that they're doing the best they can with their own context. Respect subjectivity. Aim for curiosity. Why do they see it that way? Instead of condemnation, they're wrong.
Curiosity over condemnation. That feels like a really powerful principle for connection in general. If you're genuinely curious, you can always find something to talk about, even with people you disagree with.
That's the essence of it. Genuine curiosity is the engine of meaningful conversation.
That shift really ties everything together. It's not just about techniques, but about the internal mindset you bring to the interaction. Be prepared, be open, be interesting, and above all, be curious.
Well put.
That's today's breakdown. While this discussion cannot replace the book's full text, it can offer a glimpse into its teachings. I hope you found this discussion helpful, and I look forward to sharing more. Let me know what book next you want to discuss.